All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Southwick Conservation Commission meeting. Tonight is Monday, November 7th at 7 p.m. The meeting is being held hybrid, so that means via Zoom as well as those in attendance here in the land use room. So just going around the room to make sure that we do have a quorum. We have actually 6 out of 7 with us tonight, so that's a good night. We have Brian Drennan, Mehmet Mazanagul, Dave McWilliams, Norm Cheevers, Kevin Solak, and Andy Reardon, as well as Jean and Sabrina are here with us this evening as well. So why don't we start off really quick, just going over the minutes from the previous meeting. Has anybody had a chance to take a look at it? What do we got?
I'll make a motion to approve minutes. Second that.
So all in favor? Andy?
Aye.
Kevin? Norm? I will abstain. I was not here. Mehmet
I second.
seconded and Brian firsted it. Okay. Let's open it up for anybody that may or may not have public comments. So we'll start with people in the room. Any public comments from anybody in the room? Excellent. How about people online? Is there anybody on the Zoom meeting that has any public comments? Okay. All right. So we're going to just jump right into it. The first thing we have is a public hearing for 1 Hudson Drive for a notice of intent.
I don't know if Mr. Lebeck was sending someone this evening or not. Is it? Yeah, okay.
I do not hear or see anybody from R. Levesque. So would you like to continue? Like to,
What is the question this evening? We did get word back from that. There's really no issues, no, I saw.
And we did have some comments from DPW. Do you want to read those?
yeah,
This section. And then turn it over.
okay.
And actually double check to make sure it's for one. So
So this is from Randy Brown, who is the Southwick DPW director. So I reviewed the NOI package for 1 Hudson Drive as prepared by R. Levesque Associates. It does not appear that the plans or stormwater report were modified from the original RDA application. As such, my original comments are still valid for the NOI submittal. If you have any questions, let me know. So I'm going to go down below from Randy Brown to John Goddard and Megan Lightcap. The DPW reviewed the proposed self-storage building construction plans for 1 Hudson Drive as prepared for by R. Levesque and Associates, dated 9/20/22, and provides the following comments. In the stormwater report, section 3.1 states that the rainfall events were based on data from technical paper 40. However, the table 3-1 appears to include rainfall events from Atlas 14 plus. I don't know.
I think it's just two different units of measure, like metric and standard,
Okay,
different ways of reporting.
so let me just go through these. The calculation sheets in Appendix C also seem to indicate that rainfall events from Atlas 14+ were utilized per the Southwick stormwater regulations. Atlas 14+ should be used. Please clarify. So the calculation sheets in Appendix C also seem to indicate that rainfall events from Atlas 14+ were utilized. And then it's saying that is what we require. So I'm not sure I understand that's just a comment. It looks to me like he's saying they use the right standard. Anybody hearing that differently? All right, I'm moving on to number 2 then. In the stormwater report, section 3.3 states all of the access drive runoff will be collected via area drain inlets and conveyed to a proprietary sedimentation device prior to discharge to the infiltration basin. However, neither plans nor calculations in Appendix E reference a proprietary sedimentation device. Please clarify.
So I think those are things that need to be cleared up by Mr. Levesque.
Okay.
Yes.
Consider this project is within the critical area as defined by 310 CMR 10.0-4 per the stormwater handbook. Pre-treatment prior to the infiltration basin is required to remove at least 44% of total suspended solids. A significant portion of the driveway and parking areas flows into the grass swale, which leads to one of the 4-yard drains. The stormwater report does not include an analysis of pre-treatment TSS removal calculations for flows through the yard drains, only for flows through the 2 catch basins. I just want to see if somebody joined. Pre-treatment TSS removal analysis for flows through the yard drain should be performed and included in the stormwater report to confirm the pre-treatment TSS removal requirement is met for the entire project area.
So I think we need to have Mr. Levesque address each of
Okay.
these, so there's no really need for you to read all of that.
So would you
Yeah.
like to continue?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Mr. Reardon would like to request a
Get
continuation.
back from Mass DEP. I don't know if you
We
saw
did
that
get
as
some
a,
stuff back from Mass DEP. It looks like, and I can hand it over to Dave as well, just to have a
just to get
second
past
pair of
that.
eyes, but it looks like they don't really have any comments.
Yeah, I think I did see this and so essentially they came back and said, this project has been assigned the following file number, WE 292-0410. Issuance of a file indicates only completeness of submittal, not approval of the application. So just, yeah, reading through it, it's pro forma. They don't have any comments negative towards the application.
So that would indicate that Mass DEP's
Right.
done with this.
That would be my guess. So,
So just waiting on Levesque.
yeah. So the applicant has asked for a continuance. Somebody want to make a motion? Continue the hearing,
I'll second it.
seconded by Kevin. Brian?
Aye.
Mamet?
Aye.
Dave McWilliams? Aye. So we will continue this to our next meeting, which is Monday, November 21st.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you,
that.
sir.
First, peanut butter cup and be on my way. One thing while I'm over here.
All right, so we are right on time. Our second public hearing scheduled for 7:10 Oak Ridge Estates Mort Vining Subdivision NOI. A proposed subdivision off Mort Vining Road. The proposed subdivision road will impact a buffer area of a isolated wetland and a wetland resource area. The proposed stormwater basin will impact the buffer zone of a wetland resource area. So do we have? Is this a continuation?
No,
Okay, so where is the,
She's going to
Okay.
find the legal ad.
thank you. I am abstaining.
I think this is everyone.
Well, you have, Karen, you're good.
How about this? With the boat ride.
You did? Attaboy. All right. So the Southwick Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing under the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, GLC 131-40, and the Southwick Conservation Commission Regulations and Bylaws, Chapter 182, Chapter 450, for a notice of intent. The project location is Mort Vining Road, Southwick, Massachusetts, map 165-001-001, parcel 001. Proposed subdivision within a portion of the wetland regulated under the protection of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Southwick bylaws for the purpose of a roadway construction. So it is happening tonight, November 7th at 7:10 p.m. Who do we have here for the applicant? How are you?
I'm good.
Do we not have a chair for you? Can we get you a chair?
Oh, that's all right. 2 years in person one, so it's kind of cool.
Right?
Um, My name is Steve Salvini from Salvini Associates. And I'm a professional land surveyor. And I'm here with Val Shevitz, the proprietor of Oak Ridge Custom Home Builders. And although I'm a professional land surveyor, I do speak environmentalist and sometimes civil engineer. But just to bail me out, I have remotely Jeff Smith from our office.
Okay.
Who's our professional wetland scientist. And the project engineer Terry Reynolds is with us remotely as well. So
Okay.
if technical questions come up, they're here to bail me out.
Yeah. So these are the plans that came in
Well, what I have.
a short time ago,
Yes.
right? This afternoon?
Right, what we did was we submitted a response to the DEP, and then we made modifications to the
I asked.
mitigation plan. And to
Okay.
the actually, there weren't a lot of changes to it. So I have hard copies here.
Of the plan?
Yep,
So-
the mitigation plan is a 11x17,
mitigation
it's on the
plans
back side of those.
are- And then the other plans are
The
on the
map?
website, November 7th. And then it would be finding of states, and that's mitigation for vacation plan.
Can you two kids at the end here? Sharing is caring. Okay. Be nice to one another. It's all being recorded. Okay, what's going on over there, ladies? We good?
The only thing we have is the mitigation plan.
Well, they also sent the rest of the plans via email, but because we have them on the website,
Right,
I didn't put it on the folder.
right. So what do you want to see first?
Well,
I think what we would like to see is the entire plan before we drill down into the mitigation plan.
sure, I brought a hard copy.
Do you want to do DEP comments,
Yeah, let's-
W comments? First,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
and then he also has some comments in response to DEP.
Right.
So,
But if we can grab the hard plans too,
yeah, I have it right here.
okay?
so these are the DEP comments here. And these are his responses to the DEP comments, and then, the last one is, the third response. Correct.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Well, I misspoke on the third response. I misinterpreted what Terry had said about the moving the basin out of the jurisdiction area. Where the basin is proposed to be located is in the most optimal spot based on topography. And DEP wanted to see if we could move it out, or at least move the point discharge out of them.
Sure,
And that's what we can move the point discharge out, no problem.
okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read through these. I'm gonna do the first DEP comment and then you can address it.
Okay, I think
It's addressed here in writing. I mean, I could read it or you could do it.
I think I gave you my response.
It is right here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which,
All right. So
what do you want me to bring up?
sure.
Island plan, I believe is the map.
That one?
Yep, and then. I don't know how many. You have to look at all of them. So let's do all of them.
So these, Sabrina, these are the ones that came in at like 4 o'clock today. These are plans.
The only thing, the mitigation was the thing that came in at 4 o'clock, and also the response to number 3.
Yeah.
The correction that came in at 4 o'clock as well. Everything else came in beforehand.
Okay.
These were submitted before, but this is the general gist of it right here.
All right. So personally, I want to take a look at this and then we'll get into this.
Okay,
Okay. Because I don't even know what they're talking about. So
Yep.
I don't see the plan straight.
so the property is on the east side of Mort Banning Road. Connected lines down here. And you guys are seeing this first. It has not gone to planning board because we need to get approval for this wetland crossing before anything can happen. But the idea is to make a nice little subdivision out here with a loop road coming in and out that way. And because under subdivision control law, you have to have 2 entrances. Okay, so we could theoretically have put one up here, but now you're gonna have 2 entrances too close to each other, which really doesn't make a lot of sense from a traffic point of view or aesthetically. You gotta have 2 roads like that. So by moving it down here, we gain separation between these 2 locations. But we're at that point where we have to cross this. We see it, we show it in our alternative analysis. In our notice of intent, we discussed the different alternatives and why we chose this one. By going here, we're able to put a stormwater basin right there, which is in a perfect spot based on topo. Coming up and around here, we can minimize rather than coming in and doing other configurations as we discussed in our alternatives. We're using this loop road here that minimizes the amount of impervious surface for the project and helps with stormwater control on that. So that's why we want to come through here. Now, this wetland that we're proposing to cross, I don't know if you've gone out there and seen it, it's a field, a hayfield. And it took a couple of tries to delineate that from our wetland scientist. And then Mark Stinson had one of those false color things and showed that, because we thought there was a disconnect here. But when he showed us that there was actually one continuous flow. So in March of 2021, when we submitted our ANRAD, we showed this as one contiguous open or wetland, but it's really a wet meadow, very shallow. And all it does is it is a linear conveyance of water down into a larger wetland below. And so the idea of crossing it seemed palatable because it's a very shallow. When it's dry, it's almost impossible to tell from the rest of the field. So it's not a really high, I know we're not supposed to quantify these or qualities, but it's kind of a low functioning. It just really transports water to a larger wetland. So we figured if we put 2 48-inch culverts in there, allows the water to go through, and then between the culvert and the associated grading, we're disturbing about 2,700 square feet. But then we're going to mitigate it or replicate it just down here a little bit, and
So
we're going
that's
to
what this is gonna
right.
be down here.
and that would be about 37 square feet. So we're making a larger wetland than what we're replicating or than what we're disturbing. And it's actually going to be a functioning wetland because it's going to be attached to the larger wetland down here. So we all try to protect the wetlands, but this particular little wetland is not a major loss in environmental.
I remember when it was kind of accidentally discovered a couple of years ago. I think like Marissa was out there for some purpose and they were doing soil samples and all of a sudden it was like, lo and behold, this is a wetland nobody ever knew about because it was farmed, right? Wasn't it a hayfield for years
Right.
and years?
I know that they actually got perks down in there before they knew it was a wetland.
Yeah,
And that just was like, what? And then, so going out and doing this again, very tedious delineation. Jeffrey found that there's a strip of wetlands right down through there. So
right.
that's what we're trying to cross.
Okay.
That's the crux of this.
It's
notice
the
of-
only impact on the property.
No, that's the only wetland impact. The other impact is right up here is a isolated wetland.
Yep.
And we're gonna have a culvert crossing here that will have a point discharge down below it'll be in the buffer zone to an isolated, but it will not, it won't go into the isolated wetland. And so.
And that's what
not-
the DEP comments.
That's not jurisdictional for them, but it falls under your
Mhm.
local stormwater regulation. So that's why we included it in there. That's
Okay.
why they didn't comment on it, because it's not within their jurisdiction.
I think Army Corps might have jurisdiction in it as well,
Yeah, but
because it's
it's,
an isolated.
yeah, it's pretty small.
All right, so the applicant, so these are DEP comments. The applicant, this is comment number one, the applicant should further clarify why an alternative location through upland for the site entrance was not selected. The applicant should also clarify if a narrow area of bordering vegetated wetland could be crossed and if the BVW could be spanned as opposed to culverts being installed. All right, so the response from Mr. Salvini's company, the proposed entrance is in the most suitable location based on grades and topography. More importantly, the proposed down gradient detention basin is in the optimal location based upon further site topography. Further, the down gradient detention basin would have to move to a less desirable location to accommodate the relocation to the entrance to the narrow section of the wetland. The relocation of the entrance would generate additional impervious surface. Additionally, the narrower section of the wetlands located south of the proposed crossing is forested and shrub and is steeper than the upland, the field portion. This wetland is 4,834 square feet, much smaller than the wet meadow wetland. The wet meadow wetland is 25,987 square feet. The wetland is narrower. The wetland in the narrower area is wooded and follows a more distinct drainage channel. The open field wet meadow does not have the shrub and canopy coverage the narrower area does. Therefore, the impact to the wet meadow would be significantly lower than crossing the shrub, or forested wetland. So why don't we pause there and see if there's any questions and comments from anybody on the board?
Shrub and forested wetlands.
Like I said, I'm a surveyor. I've stepped in a lot of wetlands. It's down in here. This area up in here is more of a wet meadow to feel. The farther down you go this way, it's a little more brushy and stuff. So the idea was, okay, there's a narrower portion down here, or excuse me, over here. Very narrow portion right down in this area that you could cross. But when you do that and come up through, you're going to lose this, and the grades in there just don't really work for putting in a road. Right, so that's why we, and then this is more brushy down there, so there's more vegetation and everything else. Up in this area, it's really just a field.
So if the concern that this area is more brushy and it has scrub brush, which, okay, scrub brush, I'm not sure I understand the difference. So is that going to remain untouched?
Yes,
So
This
no
area-
development is going to be done on that property?
correct.
Okay, because I don't want to hear that you don't want to put it here because of the brush, only to find out you're going to
No,
chop all the brush down later for another purpose.
no, with these wetlands and through here and everything else, they're really not buildable down in there anyway.
So
So,
is that like lot right there that's cut out, is that like open space, cause you do have to? Is that what that is, where the detention basin goes, is that? part, is that what that is?
We haven't designated that yet because
Oh,
we
okay.
have not gone to the planning board.
Gotcha.
This is. You guys get to see this first.
Yeah.
Because if. When you allow us to do this, we can then go to the planning board and say, we have Conservation Commission approval to go through here. And then we can submit all this and. The road won't change, but then we might tweak the different parts of the
Lot lines
lots.
and stuff like that,
Correct.
because there is a percentage that has to be left open space, or is that?
That's only if you go under the flexible residential, type of thing. So this is not going under that at this point,
Gotcha.
but all that can be
Well,
potentially
potentially,
looked at.
that's what that could be used for, is.
Right, this is not gonna be built on, I can tell you
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
because that's, like I said, you got a wetland going right through here with your setbacks, and every house would have to cross a wetland, and it's just not gonna happen. You know, to get to it, it's just not gonna happen. So the configuration of lots is pretty much nailed down. The road is the crux of it all right here. And when that's approved, then we go to the planning board with the next step of getting the plan, the development plan. If you guys are just really approving a wetland crossing, we're showing you the big picture.
Mhm.
We submitted the stormwater management report for the whole property. But we're really just looking to get approval to cross this. Make another wetland right over there, and then just hit this little buffer to an isolated wetland with a culvert there.
Okay,
And that's really all the impacts are on this 82-acre piece.
Can I just add something?
go ahead.
So according to our, 457 procedures for the general wetland regulations, any applicant is required to obtain or apply for all permits, variances, and approvals required by or any other applicable statute, bylaw, or regulation prior to or concurrently with filing an application under the bylaw. And this requirement shall include only those approvals which are obtainable at the time the application is filed. So according to this, you're going to have to file with the planning board with this plan.
Yeah, but if they go in front of the planning board is gonna say to them, you have to get. Conservation.
Yeah, they'll
So-
wait first, but it needs to be
Yeah.
concurrent, just in case there's any changes that we're all approving on the same plan.
Well, when you approve this, you approve it based on these plans, and then these are the plans. We're not making any changes to this, believe me. This is what we're going forward with.
But you just said you were gonna tweak these after we approve it.
When I say tweak, I mean,
Right.
this has to,
That's
this
just what
has,
the bylaw says.
Right.
this has to be designated as, the lot numbers have to be put on, the dimensions here have to be put on.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
We're not moving lots or anything. This has been engineered to death, so the engineer will shoot me if I say we're gonna move something. So this is gonna be the plan, but it didn't make sense to us to go to the Conservation Commission or go to the planning board, and they look at it and go, oh, yeah, this is really nice, let's approve it. And then it gets shot down here. We just wasted everybody's time. So we can do it concurrently. If this gets approved, we can then turn around and submit the plans to the planning board. And you can approve it conditionally based upon concurrent filing with the planning board.
I think what Sabrina's saying though is that you do have to submit it to them and they'll just keep postponing it till it clears here.
Mhm.
It has to be on their desk at the same time as it's on the desk here, right?
Okay.
So that's what
Yeah.
you're saying,
Is there a
right?
farmhouse on the left of that road? The one on the right entrance? Isn't there a farmhouse or something?
The original house,
The original house.
yeah,
right?
32 Mort Vining Road.
Yeah.
That was the original house.
Yeah.
That was carved out before they sold the property.
Cause this picture reminds me, I think Dennis, Marissa and I went on the site with it here. in the
Yeah.
Morning, right early morning,
Yeah,
and
probably.
it was pretty wet.
Mhm.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
It got mucky in parts and stuff. And I think the idea was to go up this way. Am I right? So you bypass this and you go in through the woods and up into that first cul-de-sac looking thing?
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm talking about the right side.
On the right side, yeah, come up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
There's
keep going,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Right. Yeah, this was the only iffy part, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's all coming back to me.
Right,
I mean, there are other wetlands up here that we're not even coming
All
near.
right.
And the
And
lots
the
are
road
big
is
enough.
right here, right?
Pardon?
The road is right here.
Yeah.
More Vining's.
More,
right here.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
okay.
Andy and Sabrina make a really good point. I mean, if
Yep.
our bylaws say that they need to be filed simultaneously, then I think we're gonna ask that you do that. I mean, we're happy to, again, have you back in to review this,
Mhm.
but I don't want to jeopardize anything by going out of order,
No, understood.
okay?
Yeah.
The other thing is, quite honestly, some of the changes that were made or the information we got came in kind of late and
Yep,
it's,
understood. So what we'll do is, well, I guess what we ought to do is continue the conversation, get your feedback on what we have here, and knowing that you are not gonna make a decision on it. Right?
I would prefer that we just continue it
Okay,
altogether,
Mm,
right? And have the conversation when it's
okay,
as it should be.
Can I also add something, just so you know? The Southwick bylaws, there's a 2-to-1 ratio for wetland replication.
we're under 5,000 square feet.
Yes,
For any,
I just
Okay.
wanted to let you know, if we're gonna continue this, that
Yeah.
you're gonna have to,
when we got to the replication, it's gonna be brought,
Okay,
absolutely.
right.
I know
Yeah.
that's gonna be a little bit of work, so.
There's plenty of room to do that
Yeah.
there, so it's not it's.
We're gonna wanna see it on the plan though.
Oh, understood, yeah.
So we don't wanna upset the engineers, but they're gonna have to move a couple of lines right down here, right?
No, actually, but yeah, it's just the replication area, we were already 1,000 feet over
Right,
the amount, so we thought we were being generous.
yeah, no,
Not generous enough.
no.
Not for
no.
Southwick. Could I
Give
also-
until it hurts.
That's
Could I
okay,
also
right?
make a
It's all good.
suggestion for the plan? You have the wetlands labeled as A, B, C, D. It's really hard to see
Right,
the A, B, C, D on there. Could you enlarge them?
Sure.
So we understand which wetland you're talking about.
color coding, I like doing that.
Okay.
Click on that.
So then we're gonna accept your request for a continuation, because since it's an open public hearing, we're gonna have to vote on it.
Yes, understood. Can we get back to you as to when, or no, you continue it next, and if we gotta go again, we'll continue it.
Yeah, we are meeting again on the 21st.
That's it.
So if you can file with planning board between now and then, that would be fantastic. Okay.
I'm not sure if that'll happen, but yeah, okay. perfect.
Okay, well, if you can't meet on the,
We'll continue.
let us know, please. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I will take a motion to continue the hearing.
Only do it to continue to here.
Mamet makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Norm second.
Norm seconds. Kevin.
Aye.
Andy.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Dave, aye. All right.
You want these?
We have them.
Do we have a-
Oh, unless you have the new. Wait,
gonna
you
change them
didn't
anyways.
have the mitigation in that.
The
packet.
mitigation is a separate.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
gonna change it anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna, oh, yeah, it's gonna change.
Yeah.
So, no,
It's all coming back in.
no. But thank
Excuse me,
you.
Dave?
Thank you for offering. Yes,
Dave, this is Dennis.
Dennis.
Can you hear me?
can hear you.
I've got a question. Why is it mitigation and not a replication? I don't understand why it's being called mitigation. Is it a replication or is it a mitigation?
It's a replication. You're right.
That's me trying to speak environmentalist, Dennis.
Yeah, you should let Jeff take care of that. He does a much better job, Jeff. So
Wow.
it's a replication.
Dennis, what is the difference between mitigation and replication in regards to wetlands?
Well, replication is exactly what that is. It replicates what you have out there. Mitigation might not necessarily be the same thing that you won't be replicating. You mitigate it by other factors, riverfront area or buffer zones, but replication is what it is. It replicates what you have.
No.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dennis.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
No
Dennis.
problem.
You should see Steve's face, Dennis. You don't want to bump into him right now. Yeah. All right, so that's it for our public hearings. Let's move on to new business. So Sabrina, talk to us about a possible conservation trust.
So, I think I made a mistake with saying trust because it's supposed to be fund, conservation fund.
Conservation's always fun.
Yes, conservation is fun. So last meeting, I quickly went over with the Conservation Commission, the possibility of creating a conservation fund. In Massachusetts, every conservation commission has the option of having a fund. It's in our law, Massachusetts general law. And specifically, I wanted to look into this option for land acquisition. It would be nice to have funds readily available throughout the year in order for us to jump on opportunities to purchase either real property or, for example, conservation restrictions, the interest of the property. Norm wanted to talk more about it today. I know I kind of gave you guys a whole lot of information in our last meeting. I was kind of trying to do a time crunch, thinking that maybe we could be on the special town meeting, but that's not going to happen. So now that, we know that it's not going to happen, we can talk much more calmly about what this is and what it could mean and what the process is.
All right, so I have a question.
Yes,
So I wasn't here last time, but I know you and I have had conversations with them. So regarding the fund, right?
yes.
You're saying right now you'd like it for solely be used for land acquisition. I personally would like to see it broadened to be used for other things within our purview.
Yeah, absolutely. This is,
Like
I
fallen
wasn't thinking
trees and-
fallen trees, yeah, not solely for land acquisition, but that's what sort of inspired me to like, I read, I'm like, oh, land conservation fund, that's something that we can use for land purchase. But as far as other things that we need to do as for land management, I'm sure we could use the conservation fund for that as well.
Okay, and the reason I bring that up, because I know there's other things that have been written where funds can be utilized for, and the way they're written kind of pigeonholes us into certain things. And I would like to see if we're gonna move forward with this, it be broad enough to include things other than just, I don't want it saying this is the only use of it, right? There's a lot of things that come up that aren't necessarily things that we're thinking about front of mind all the time. And just so everybody knows, we got I got an email from a landowner where a tree from conservation land fell onto their property and ruined their fence. So there's going to be the cost of removing the tree as well as repairing the fence. Now, we don't have that money in our budget, but if there was a conservation fund, that would be somewhere where we could probably utilize that money to pay for this. But it's probably not something we would be thinking of. So to say we're going to specifically write it in there, we're probably going to miss things. So as it's written, I think we need to do some really good due diligence to make sure that, hey, there's going to be some unforeseen things. How do we make sure that we're going to be able to utilize the funds for that as well?
Jean, can you bring up the thumb drive? And then in today's meeting, under conservation fund, I think I put it under. Yep. And then.
How did that end up?
There's a site visit to go take a look at the guys. Yeah.
Do you want to come tomorrow at 1? Yeah.
I'm just curious about without a fund, how was that taken care of?
Well, we got to figure that out, right? So
okay.
I had a conversation, or there was some
So this
emails.
really happened.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
real.
Okay,
just-
so that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
now currently we don't have a fund.
No, we don't.
So
No, we
how-
don't.
what
That's the
happened?
same thing.
So we're trying to find that out, right? So DPW has one explanation that says each board or commission is responsible for paying for damage caused from their property,
Okay,
which quite honestly, I don't believe. I don't think if a tree falls from the police department's property into somebody else's property and damages their fence, it's coming out of the police department's budget.
His insurance.
Is it?
I don't know, but I
That's what
don't
I'm
think so.
saying, yeah.
So we gotta find that out,
Yeah, we need to.
but, the tree fell from our property, damaged somebody else's property.
Right.
So there needs to be some sort of,
But if a tree fell on my property, what is it, act of God, right?
right,
I don't get anything for that.
Okay, that's what we were just discussing, that if my tree were to go across South Long Yard and to fall into your house insurance covers it, even though it came off of my property.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
So,
I don't understand.
Randy-
Me neither, that's the
Every
question I'm
acorn-
trying to,
Every
yeah,
acorn that
We
falls
need to
off
really
the tree
find that
on the
out.
side of a road, it breaks a windshield, somehow the town's supposed to pay for that too.
right. So we don't want conservation funds start paying for every Gilly Valley damage that's happening because
No, I,
they
listen,
abut a conservation property,
I think
you know, I mean.
You need to check
really.
where the
Randy
line
did
is there.
say that it may be covered under Southwick insurance
Yeah.
policy, but that would be something we have to talk to Carl about.
agreed.
I just wanted to see
Yeah,
the
we
site
should find
tomorrow
that
to
out.
see what the situation really is, because I've only seen a couple pictures.
So like if your neighbor's tree falls on your house, your neighbor's insurance doesn't cover it. Your insurance covers it,
Right,
right, which always seems odd to me.
Right,
I don't like that, but that's the way. where they-
Well, we can discuss that next time. I mean, we're getting off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Right now, we're just talking about a fund.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just, as an example, these are things that come up that we may not actually
it'd be
plan
good to
for.
button those up if we get to the fund.
Yeah, agreed.
so I wanted to bring this up because I'm actually not sure if fund can be used for something like trees. So if we could, it's a lot of stuff to read. I think I highlighted something in the second one. And I can try to read it. Oh, what did I just do?
I don't know, but you shouldn't do it again.
Okay. I know this is small writing, but I'm gonna try to read it. The funds may purchase interest in such land with sums available to it if insufficient funds are available or other reasons so require. A city council or town meeting may raise or transfer funds so that the commission may acquire in the name of the city or town by option, purchase, lease, or otherwise the fee in such land or water rights, conservation restrictions, easements, or other contractual rights, including conveyances in conditions or with limitations or what does that say?
Reversions.
Reversions as may be necessary to acquire, maintain, improve, protect, limit the future use of, or otherwise conserve and properly utilize open space in land and water areas within its city or town. And it shall manage and control the same for the purposes of the section. A city or town may, upon the written request of the commission, take my eminent domain under chapter 79, the fee of any lesser interest in any land or waters located in such city or town, provided such taking has first been approved by a 2/3 vote. If the city council or a 2/3 vote of an annual or special town meeting, which land and waters shall thereupon be under the jurisdiction and control of the commission. Upon a like vote, a city or town may expend monies in the fund of any established under the provisions of the section for the purpose of paying in whole or in part any damages for which such a city or town may be liable by reason or of such taking. So I think that did cover the tree
Manage,
management,
one word.
right? Yeah.
Manage.
Sorry.
Right?
Well, I had to read it.
No, I get it. I get it.
There's a lot of law language in here and it's good for everyone else to hear because I'm not, I only took one business law class at college, so.
Well, I think going back to the original reason for it is, we have a bunch of buckets within the town to get money from, right? One is the general fund, which you have to get through the select board, town vote, or what have you. There's CPC funds out there, which are great, but they take time, have to go through a majority of CPC votes, then a town meeting vote, what have you. This fund would be at the discretion of our board to spend as we see fit, as long as it falls under the guidelines of how we write up the usage of this funds. So it gives us an opportunity to be a bit more nimble. Now, my understanding is some communities are getting funds from CPC that are being put into this. So it covers the CPC requirements to utilize funds for open space and procurement of lands, but it takes out that whole layer of approval and gives it to us. So I like the idea. I think more control in our hands and our ability to act quicker, I think is a good idea. I don't know how we go about setting it up.
I don't either. This is an example of Broughton's warrant article to set it up. And then I have Acton's warrant article as well, as an example.
Yeah, that's good.
I think Acton's missing a couple of zeros.
This is Groton.
Right, sorry.
This was, years ago,
Okay.
years ago. I could say
So is it-
1960s,
A one-time thing that they did, or
to set up their fund.
just to start it up?
Yep,
Uh-huh.
yep. And then this is, sorry, not Acton's, AIR Conservation Fund, their warrant article.
So from a membership, a commission standpoint, what do people think of the idea?
It's a great idea.
Yeah. I think last time this came up, it seemed to have a lot of wind behind it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Where
it just makes sense, you know.
How does the funds come out of the annual, like, how do we acquire the funds, I
I
guess?
think we have to ask for them. So we can ask
So it's
from
not
the
like,
general.
it's like a
fund.
yearly thing that you would just put into this fund, you literally have to ask for what you need. It
Yeah,
won't be like a running, like,
Right.
like CPC has funds, like there's an actual amount that they
Mhm.
have,
Right.
right? They raise them. That's not what that is. This is us setting up this, and if we need money, we ask for
mhm.
it. Gotcha.
Or we put a couple $100,000 in this out of CPC. So we could at least put a down payment on a piece of property until CPC might purchase it, or we can get another chunk from them. But it gives us,
Mhm.
we got some
Yeah.
cash in the bank to play with.
Yeah,
There- yeah,
a
there-
good way to put it.
There are some towns who they annually ask for money from CPC and then just put it in to the conservation fund.
Mhm.
So would we decide how much we're gonna ask for initially, or, yeah?
Yeah. So I think,
And
go ahead.
does that have to go to the town vote to get approved, or how does that work? Cause like, if we set this up and then ask for, say, $100,000. What does CP says?
It would
They don't
depend on
want-
where the funds are coming from,
Yeah,
right? So if it's coming from the general fund of the town, it would have to go through town vote. and be
Yes.
approved, right? So you would have to get finance committee, select board, write a warrant article, and the town would have to vote on it at the end of the meeting. The same process would be true of CPC funds. Conservation would go to CPC with an application for funding. They would thumbs up, thumbs down it, they thumbs up it, then again, it would go to town meeting for vote, and really it would be a transfer of funds from CPC over to conservation.
gotcha.
And
Once-
that,
Once established, at least my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, it also opens it up with donations, contributions and things like
That's
that.
correct, yeah,
Which hopefully that would be an extra bit of
yeah,
something who wants to give directly to Concom. Would
yeah,
be able to do that.
yeah,
I mean, quite honestly, we could initiate and start the fund without any money in it,
gotcha.
right? It's like, I don't wanna say, you can't open a bank account with no money,
We
but,
could all throw in $5 and get it done.
right.
Mm.
Right. So, I mean, to me, it sounds like it's something that we're all behind, and I'm gonna make an ask that somebody offered to work with Sabrina to kind of work through how we go about making this happen, so that
Love
it's
help.
not all on her. So who wants to spearhead this particular project with Sabrina?
Well, we have more time and.
I'll spin the,
Spend the ball.
I'll spin it. Well,
I'd be happy to help out, Dave.
is that you, Dennis?
That's me.
You're the man, Dennis. All right.
I'd love to help out with that.
You.
Absolutely appreciate it, Dennis. You're officially on the clock. All right. When is our next meeting? You have till the 21st. All right.
Bring your $5. We gotta get this started.
That's right. You can bring it to me tonight. You can hand it to me tonight. All right, so we're gonna move on because we
We
do,
need like just computer time. Kind of like if you ever need somebody to look up something, do research on it, find out stuff. Then you can put me in,
Okay, then that will help.
in that way.
I do need help with research and
All right.
stuff. I don't have enough time just to do my daily.
all right,
I can dig up things.
Awesome,
it's both in,
Pretty skilled.
it's been recorded.
yeah,
It's on tape
Yeah,
and
I'm on.
video. All right, so the next thing under new business is Noble Steed, possible contamination fill spread at site. So this is in regards to a site visit that was made to the Noble Steed development by Sabrina, Norm, and was Randy Brown with you guys, or was that?
yes.
Okay, so why don't you
One,
guys,
one of the times Randy was with us.
that's the book.
What is today? Today, what day is it? It's this, okay. That was Brad Bill. So. Which day was this? Ay. State violation, is there a way I can click on that so I can read? Looks like November 17th or October 17th. So on October 17th, I'm gonna back this up just a little bit. I had noticed that there was new fill put on site at Noble Steed, and the fill, according to my eyes, was contaminated. And I have some pictures to show you. So these are the new fill piles right here.
Hmm.
And I do have close-ups. So when I say contaminated, I mean bricks, asphalt, piping. Randy was the first one to tell me about this. He had said that there's contaminated fill and he wanted it removed as well. And then I had told Jesse Saltmarsh, you know, can you please handle this? This is not allowed, especially according to your order of conditions. So he had said, he'll take care of it, he'll remove it off site. And then I came back a few weeks later, he had spread the fill and it was the contaminated fill. Norm and I had seen the bricks and the asphalt up on the top. It looks like he sort of cleaned it up a bit. So you couldn't see as much contamination, but just from these pictures, this is just the top of the iceberg.
Did you call the DEP?
I did not call the
Solid waste.
DEP.
That's,
Do I-
you should call solid waste division, DEP, have them come out and take a look at it. They don't like that kind of stuff.
Okay, oh, good. DEP. So when Randy, Norm and I had a site visit meeting with Jesse Saltmarsh last Wednesday, Jesse had contested and said that this was not contaminated and that it was about 99% clean fill. And so I asked him if he would please come to the Conservation Commission and explain why he thinks this is clean, because basically we're going back and forth saying it's contaminated, it's not contaminated. I did give him the information for tonight's meeting and it looks like he is not here.
So let's ask, to put it on record, is Jesse or anybody else representing Jesse either here in person or on Zoom? Or should I say Saltmarsh Industries?
There was one additional site visit after with Sabrina and myself, after it had been spread and before the Randy visit. And the contamination was all on the surface. You could see it, okay? And then when we came back for the third site visit with Randy, some of the contamination that had been on the surface had been removed. Okay, so it wasn't quite as bad,
Yeah.
but the pipe was still there. There was still asphalt there. There was bricks there. It was damaged. It was definitely contaminated.
Okay. Okay.
The next day, actually, took pictures, looks like in the same place. It looks like seams down on top of all that stuff.
Maybe,
It really.
Yeah.
yeah.
You can see the hill across the way.
Yeah.
That's the hill with the erosion. So all that clean fill's covered with cleans, all that sand's covered, and all that stuff's covered.
Someone
with
has
clean
now
fill.
dumped a lot of blacktop. on that.
Yeah,
Pass that
that's
down.
what he
Can you pass that
he
down,
just
please?
mentioned.
So that's, you can see the, across the way, you can see the silt fence and the erosion. So the
It's
floor
spread
around where all this
already.
stuff is spread and then. like I
And then
said,
they got
covered.
this on top of it.
It's
Jesse
like,
said he didn't know where that came from.
Sure.
You didn't know where it came from,
Yeah, that's what
I
he
mean,
said.
really, no.
Brian?
Oh, sorry. Did you see it?
So once it's spread out like this, what does the DEP do? Does it take a core sample or something? What do they do with this?
Yeah, they'll take samples of it. They'll come out and look at it. He's got it stockpiled on Sam West Road. He's got so much contaminated stuff on Sam West Road that it'd be good to have them go out and take a look at that while they're in the neighborhood.
Okay,
But yeah, they could make them take that all out of there. I mean, you can't even have certain size bricks that are, it has to be clean fill. It can't be that asphalt.
All right, so Sabrina, can you just reach out to DEP and start that process and see if they're gonna come out? And I agree, take him by Sam West Road, show him what he's got going on over there, because at some point that's gonna migrate over to Noble Street. All right. Now, what about the other violations that had been going on there that we have had numerous conversations about regarding the silt runoff and the silt moving downstream?
Yeah, I have more pictures. Is this screen sharing, by the way? Dennis, can you see what we see?
No, I cannot.
Okay. How do we screen share? Okay. And then that one or
Just click.
this? and
Yeah,
share?
double click.
there you go.
Now, can you see it?
It says so.
Dennis, you're muted.
They should be able to.
Yeah, I can see that clearly.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely, somebody should take a look at that. That's not right.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you could see the pictures beforehand. Right. So how do I get out of here into,
You want to stop sharing?
not stop sharing, not necessarily.
You want, you can just keep going to change your pictures. Is that what you're looking for?
No, but that's okay. I'm gonna go. Silt fence failure, probably, maybe this picture, maybe I could scroll. So, okay. So this was the silt fence failure that I had asked Jesse Saltmarsh to shore up in our last meeting. And obviously this was taken on the 17th of October. I keep forgetting what month we're in. So I swung by there again today. He had said that he would have it repaired by Friday. Last Friday. And so I swung by there today.
I.
And this is the same picture and nothing has been done to this one area.
Okay.
This is the only area right now that's giving us trouble. He did shore up or attempt to shore up the top of the hill by extending the silt fence and adding in some hay bales. So he is doing some work, but this part is where sedimentation is getting into the resource area when we have high rainfall events.
Not only is it getting into it, it's flowing downstream
Yes. Yes.
significantly. I mean, it's carried a couple hundred yards downstream.
Yes.
So in the past, we had talked about beginning the process of finding him. He came back and he did everything that we had asked him to do to a certain extent. The failures keep happening. And, at some point now, when we're looking at this whole fill issue, I think we need to discuss, do we immediately just start implementing fines so that he gets his thing done?
Well, at the last meeting, we did authorize
fines to be
Yeah.
instituted. Right. And he did do some work. He made some improvements. But he didn't fix this, and last Wednesday, he promised he'd have this done by Friday, he did not have it done by Friday. So. We definitely need to start fighting.
Okay,
I thought we started finding a couple Mondays ago.
well, we had discussed it. Right,
And then he did a little bit of work, not quite there, then we had to have the in-person meeting to make sure we're on the same page. We had the in-person meeting and he still didn't complete everything we asked him to do.
But he added the fill, the
No, he's-
unacceptable fill.
right.
I was reading through the order of conditions, and the very first condition that is actually like an instruction of what you will do is like clean, only clean fill.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can dispute the definition of clean fill,
I guess DEP is gonna tell us.
right?
Yeah.
So I have a
But that's
question,
the
first order of condition that's actually instructional.
The area that the fill is, the contaminated fill is that, who owns that property? Is that gonna be the street that's gonna go through? there?
yes,
Look on the plan.
yes,
Okay.
that's gonna be this road that's coming
All right, so
right
that-
here.
That would be town property.
At some point, if the town accepts the road, it will be town property.
Because the recent dropping of the blacktop on here. If I had to guess where it came from around the corner to one of the new houses up there, I believe, next to last one on the left, gray house. Looks like it has a brand new driveway. With the tape that was there is now down on the ground. Whoever did that work probably dumped that on that property. And that should be taken care of by that contractor. Not necessarily Jesse.
I don't disagree with you. Proving it might be problematic. Right? So the only thing would be to go back to the homeowner and find out who did their blacktop. And have a conversation.
Yeah.
Which we can certainly do. But regarding the bigger picture of Salt Marsh Industries, I think we just go ahead and start the process, find them. We've already voted on it, we don't need to vote on it again. He's violated every time we've given him a chance. He's continued to have violations. We gave him a chance to come in tonight and discuss with us and defend his actions, and he's not here. So I just say roll with it.
So are we going to fine him specifically for the silt fence? Are we fining him for the
All of it.
contaminated fill?
All of it.
So when you say all of it, you need to be specific because I'm new. I need to know, because it's 300 a day per violation. So how many violations are we talking about? And what are the violations? Because if he contests it, I have to go to court.
Okay, so the two violations that I see are the contaminated fill. And the erosion barriers, failure of erosion barriers.
The order of conditions says he's supposed to inspect those every day.
Right.
Yep. I mean, specifically like every day. It says.
Right. He's not doing.
So I'm not going to disagree with the erosion barriers. He's had that enforcement order since November. And that did mention the erosion barriers. However, do we need to send him an enforcement order for the contaminated fill before we start finding him? Isn't there a process that we need to do first before we start finding him for that one thing? Because this is a new thing.
And I guess the only thing that my concern with, I mean, it's definitely not clean fill. But like, I guess there's maybe possibly two classifications of like, we'll call it contaminated, but like. Contaminated can mean like topsoil, contaminated topsoil, like, that's, I think, what comes to mind, people like, there's actually like pesticides or,
Yeah.
contaminants in it. It's not clean fill, which
Right.
got brick and stuff, but
Dirty fill?
yeah, I mean,
Order of
like,
conditions
I don't know. I agree with you, the silt
Yeah.
fence, like what you're saying, that I think, but I don't know how like if it does come to court, how would we deal with the violations of the contaminated fill?
It's not about contaminated. Any fill shall contain no trash, refuge, rubbish, or debris.
But why don't,
Including lumber, bricks,
Plenty of
plaster,
debris.
But do we have jurisdiction on that? Bill, if
It's,
it's not in a resource area either. That's,
It's right up against it. It's.
I'm
within-
just saying, I'm looking at it like the legal aspects of it, if. I don't know.
well, why don't we do this? Why don't we move forward with finding him for the erosion
We know
controls
with that.
and then get the feedback from the DEP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
On
feel
that.
more, I feel more comfortable about that. Finding is like the ultimate.
Any fill in connection with the
Thing.
project shall be clean.
And I feel like maybe if Jesse.
But I think
stays at
what
the
he's saying
DEP,
is, you can, let us clean.
Well, this defines it. It says it will not have. Any fill shall contain no trash, refuge, rubbish, or debris included but not limited to lumber, bricks, plaster. There was lumber and bricks, wire, lath, paper, cardboard, pipes, tires, ashes, refrigerators, motor vehicles.
So, like, I would, and this is just like a legal argument, like, so, I don't know what, like, the public works spec is, but like, people use reclaim process, that's got all that same stuff, I mean, it's crushed down smaller, but it's still, like, that's what they use for road bases,
Mhm.
recycled process, it's got bricks, you know, and it's just crushed to a small, so that's why I'm saying is, I know that it's not, I'm just. That-
Well, I think you make a valid point, and I think Dennis saying get DEP involved, and
Yeah, I
DEP
would
gets involved
see
and
what
they
they
give us
say.
comments. You know, it certainly shores up our argument. I say again, start finding immediately for the erosion stuff.
My angle on this is, Dave, we've been going back and forth with this fellow for over a
Mhm.
year. With the same stuff.
So
For
Dave,
this.
$300 a day per violation.
Right,
There you go.
So that's,
No.
you know, go with that, get that going. And Jean knows the procedure. She knows how, about the registered letter and how you have to go about it. So she can guide you through that.
no, Dennis, I don't think the issue is the $300 per violation. We're trying to determine how many violations we want to start finding him for. Like the
Yeah.
erosion controls is ongoing. This whole clean fill thing is new. So I think everybody's in agreement that the erosion control is a no-brainer, right? Because it's been ongoing since you were on the commission or working for the commission. The clean fill, do we hold off and get DEP comments before we start finding him on that?
Yeah. Start with the $300 a day. If you just want
That's my
to do
thought.
one violation, you can always add more later on, but at least to get the ball rolling. I mean, it's been dragging on for years. He'll do the very bare minimum just to skate by, and then it takes one step forward and two steps back. It looks
I
worse
think-
out there now than it ever has.
Be good to have DEP back up. So,
Absolutely.
okay, so why don't we just move forward with that? Unless there's any other discussion on that, I'm gonna move on to the next item under
Next.
new business.
We don't have
Sofinowski,
to vote on that. right?
no, we already voted to
Yep.
find him.
Okay.
Sofinowski Land Preserve, proposed work and work party date. Proposed stargazing.
Yeah.
I'm doing that right now. Okay,
Gonna work at night.
yeah. I think Bert wants to burn it all down. That's what I've been reading.
Yeah.
I'm all fire. I'm all for the fire. So how do we want to start this conversation?
Just to let you guys know that you have the wonderful plans for the 3 phases or three priority work areas that, we discussed with Bert and Carol, am I right? And Marisa and company. I can't quite remember everyone that was there that day, and we had
Danny was there.
discussed.
Get the cleanup day.
Yeah.
What's that?
These two gentlemen were there.
Oh, this is a separate day. So we went back and talked about more things that we wanted to accomplish on the property. What's that?
You can have mine. I can look at them in there. He's good at sharing.
Um. And also, before we continue forward, I just want to clarify that we learned that this property is agriculturally exempt from the WPA. The Wetlands Protection Act. It's a working farm still. We are actively
Oh, because we're
haying,
hanging it.
because we're actively haying it. So,
Loophole.
yeah, there is that loophole. So
We did that.
yay. It's not so stressful. We don't have so much red tape for this property. I'm not sure if anyone else wants to speak with the phases, and what they want to accomplish, because I want it to be quiet.
Anybody? Just announce yourself, name, address.
Oh, Carol Way, 173 Mort Viney.
Hello again.
Hello, I'm back.
You did
Happy
sign
to
in, right?
I did.
Thank you.
I was gonna say I wasn't bringing any maps today, but here I am again with a map.
With Matt
And
in full color.
Well, I just told, when we had our little meeting again with, Sabrina and Bert, I could probably mention 10 areas that need attention, but I just decided to pick 3, so it wouldn't
Good.
be too overwhelming. Right here, this is sort of where you head up into the big meadow.
Yes,
There's a sort of a roadway right here. And this is a stone wall that Jean Cass used to work on. She planted some perennials here and it's really overgrown. So just at the end of this area, there's 2 nice birch trees that are just getting overtaken by vines, and we decided to clear out those 2 birch trees, just an area around there. There's nothing in there but junk, and so that those birch trees don't die. And then this is the pathway next to the big pond, and there's several large, tall oak trees here that are also getting overtaken by vines and pricker bushes, and we decided to just clear all that junk out of there so that, we're not cutting down anything of value. And then along this, we already cleared an area here at the end of the pond. We had a really great work day on the 16th of October. And we're just going to move along the edge of the pond, leave some nice trees that are along the edge of the pond, but just clear out another area of pricker bushes and weeds and junk.
yeah,
So,
great.
1, 2, 3 areas of work. Oh, and then my husband said he was going to cut a limb off of this apple tree. And
he wanted to remove the rocks that are at the base of the apple tree, so it
Yeah.
could be easily mowed. Right now, the mower kind of hits the rocks.
yeah, there's a few
Uh,
rocks.
And there's also a dead tree that
Yeah, right
he
here.
would like to remove.
Standing,
It's standing.
for what purpose?
Oh, my husband just said he would be willing to cut it down because it's dead.
It's right,
Standing dead trees are good though sometimes.
it's like right on the walking trail. I'm not sure.
Is it a hazard?
I'm not sure if it's a hazard, so I'm willing to go out there with Randy and
Okay.
ask him if it is a hazard.
Yeah,
Um,
because if it's not a hazard, deadfall is or not deadfall, standing dead trees are kind of vital to.
Okay, well, it's not a big deal for us.
Yeah.
He just said that if I wanted to remove it, he would be willing
We
to.
appreciate that. Let's play that one by ear though.
Okay,
So it's a 2 trunk tree and one trunk has already like snapped over.
Okay,
And so the other trunk, which is closer to the actual walking way, is the one that we're,
well, since we've got one, come on, maybe we take them on right enough. Cool.
so anyway, we had a great cleanup day on the 16th where 14 people showed up and worked really hard. And we have another one coming up this Sunday.
yes, so
which-
we would hope that you guys would approve it. So it could happen this Sunday on the 13th.
What time?
And the clock.
Well,
Was it
on the
10?
ad, it said not. The ad that was posted on social media said 9.
Wait, is it this one? It does say 9. So I'm not sure where I read 10, but it does.
So
say
9 to 1? Sunday?
9 to whenever people can stay till.
Okay.
It's gonna be chilly, so.
Patriots have a bye week, so there's no excuses, right?
The Bruins are on tonight. What's
I
your
know.
excuse?
I have excuses. I've got all this written here. These are
So-
excuses.
I'm not sure everything is going to be completed in one day. So I want to ask the commission if we can have this work be approved as like a blanket. So we could go ahead and schedule different work days without necessarily conservation saying, oh, yes, you can do it on this Sunday, you can do it on that Sunday. That'll give,
Approve the whole thing.
just approve
Yeah,
all of
yeah, yeah.
this, and then, you know, the planning and everything can be done.
Then we
by
don't get
that.
to see you two. Same. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't forget to tell them about the fire
Shorten the agenda.
thing.
Right, so
Fire thing
we,
is good.
we met up with, was it the fire chief?
I don't think it was.
Already
the
got
chief.
two.
Was it the chief? Deputy chief or?
You said it right here.
what is it?
Richard Stefanovic
The de-
explained that the disposal of the invasive plants can be done by burning,
Yes.
but the size of the fire is no bigger than a small Volkswagen Beetle.
Mhm.
Has to be a fed fire, means putting out the fire must be present, water pump pails of water. During the fire, water can be taken from the big pond and purpose, fire must be cleared area 50 radius, the fire can happen at any time of the year during daylight hours.
Hmm.
That's free reign right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So need a motion?
I
Yes,
don't know if
please.
Bert wants to add any more about the fire, because he was there for the full conversation.
He-
Hanson, 153 North Vining Road. I think you pretty much covered it. And the reason it can happen anytime during the year is because of agricultural.
Right.
So it's not, doesn't fall under the same burn season as residential does.
Right,
It's only like April or something, right? There's only a certain amount of time you can do it in.
Yeah, January through April, I think.
Yeah,
I
January.
think it's April, yeah.
And then we just on whatever day we want to do the burning, we just call the fire department, let them know what's happening.
Mhm.
But they wouldn't send anybody out. That would be a, what do they call it, a town detail or something.
Yeah.
That would cost money.
Right,
So
right.
they just want to know what's happening. And then we're
That's in
okay.
case anybody calls and says, hey, there's a lot of smoke coming from Sokonowski.
Right.
They can say, yeah, we know. It's
Yeah.
okay.
right.
And I think there's a correction, so I said a 50-foot radius.
50 radius, yeah.
In Bert's notes, which are way better than mine, he says a perimeter of 25 feet on all sides. From
Okay.
any buildings or vegetation, so it needs to be
It's a
in one of the
50-foot diameter, but 25.
Right. Right on. So I will take a motion to approve the work and the work days.
Just one other quick thing, what we want to burn is the invasives.
Right, right. Good solution.
And other brush, but the main
Mhm.
reason we started thinking about burning was to get rid of the invasives. Not
Right.
take them around town, you know, to the landfill.
Hot dogs.
Yeah, we had originally thought maybe we could bring it to the transfer station, but they don't accept those specific invasives because they're prickly or they're vines. So we have to get rid of it somehow.
Right on.
I'll make a motion.
Matt makes a motion. Do I get
to
your
Sokonowski Land Preserve Land Management. As stated in the outline of priority A1. B1, priority 2, priority 3, all invasive plant materials to be piled and set aside for burning as well. With fire department notification ahead of time. As stated in the map. Which will be in file.
Yeah.
A, B, and C, as well as D. To the full extent of whatever they need to do it whenever they can. I'll second that. Yeah.
Brian seconds? Andy?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Norm?
Aye.
Dave, aye. Excellent. Sunday,
See you there.
right on.
Sometime Sunday?
Bring your own hot dogs.
Sometime Sunday?
So-
Bring your hot
Starts-
Get a nice little flavor out of the,
Let's move on.
some invasive.
All right, we're gonna move on to old business. One thing that's not on here,
Mr. Chair, we didn't talk about stargazing.
we didn't want to, but go ahead.
A similar thing, again, Bert Hanson, 153 North Vining Road. There's gonna be a lunar eclipse.
Oh,
tomorrow night.
I forgot about
It's
that. yeah.
actually, is it tomorrow night or tonight?
This morning,
It's
coming
this
up,
morning at
Oh,
like
I'm sorry,
3.
not this-
4:16 AM till 5 something
Oh.
AM,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
early.
And we thought Sabrina and we were talking about, do we want to invite people out there, out to the Sopanowski to take a look at it? The Springfield Stargazers previously had, kind of outings out there, but technically the preserve is open from dawn to dusk.
Yeah.
So it's technically not open at 3 in the morning.
But we're talking tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So why it's
And
similar
she'll
to
be
the
here.
work parties is we'd like to get an okay to allow these kinds of outings going forward and not have to have a meeting go through it each time.
So, okay, my opinion is I'm fine with that. I think we would want notice. I mean, I don't know if anybody else needs to have them come before us every time they want to go stargazing. But I would like the commission to be notified that it's gonna happen, if not,
Yeah.
for the fact
Yeah.
that sounds fun.
So yeah, we were thinking about possibly doing some sort of advertising to people about the lunar eclipse tonight, but because our meeting was tonight, I didn't want to do that. And I'm like, well, we need to get approval from the Conservation Commission that we can be on the property at night. So that's why we're bringing this up tonight, because there's probably going to be other
Yep.
star events that are just gonna pop up, and it would be nice to be able to.
You're gonna have to notify the police too.
Right,
Sure.
exactly.
All right, just so that they don't come up and try to take you guys away. Yeah. Yes. Okay, do we want to make a motion to allow that to happen? Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Kevin made the motion.
I second the motion.
Andy seconds. Norm,
Aye.
Dave, I, Lamette,
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Okay, so now we're going into old business. We're not moving backwards. We're going to old business. There's a couple of things. Let's get a couple of things out of the way. LMC update.
Two minor things.
Yeah.
On the variance request for the dock at 410 Mountain Road. LMC agrees that it should be granted again on a yearly basis, and that was voted by the Conservation Commission last week. And also last meeting at the Conservation Commission, we had Jay Stemler in here from 26 Island Way. And he had requested that try to move the green buoy closer to his property. That would allow, because he has boats speeding to the right of the buoy and interrupting his swimming area. Because it's quite close, and LMC has agreed that they can move that buoy in closer.
Okay, good.
And that's it. Yeah.
All right, excellent. Sabrina, is there any update on the possible subcommittee?
No,
Okay,
one thing, Dave Sutton's Pebbles.
what?
Dave Sutton's Pebble Rock.
Oh,
Should we talk to the Conservation Commission about that?
I talked to him today. No, he's got to come before us. I told him.
Oh,
he's
it
gonna
doesn't
come to
have
us
to come
with the plan.
before us? Okay, never mind.
Absolutely. I told him, I saw him
So-
tonight.
Should we put that on the next meeting's agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's-
Yes. All right. Two real quick things. Saturday, Brian, Sabrina, Norm, and Dennis met up at the Gorge and built the kiosk. Is there the roofs remaining to be done? Is there
We still
anything?
have to do the roof.
Okay, so, thank you guys for that. Very much appreciate it. If you can just let us know when and if you guys are gonna, not if, right? It's not an if thing, it's a when thing, when you guys are gonna complete that. We'll try and get some bodies up there to help you.
We have the
I
forest
saw it.
cutting
We went
review
backwards.
thing this coming Saturday, right?
So, I wanted to talk to you guys about that before the meeting, but we can talk about that now. Jacob has given us some other options for meeting up. And I spoke to Mehmet in December 3rd in the morning, if that's better for you, Andy, if you can do that.
Because he said he's booked up for all the rest of November, right?
Yes.
Right.
Oh, this is over at, okay. the
So this
resource-
is gonna be at the Sofinowski property and Jacob from the DCR has agreed to sort of go over what a forest plan is and why they do what they do and how they do what they do, what they think when they create the forest plan, and he thinks the Sofinowski property would be good because of all of the water areas, the wetland areas. And so he's agreed to come on a Saturday morning, to go over with some of the Conservation Commission members, the forest cutting plan.
And you're looking at December 3rd,
Now, yes, now we're looking at December 3rd
fine with me.
in the
I
morning.
missed last meeting, so what are they gonna harvest? And you're off, is that what?
No, so this is just gonna be sort of like a mock forest plan thing that he's gonna basically explain what a forest cutting plan is.
Oh, okay, okay, so they're not actually gonna harvest it
No.
and stuff.
No.
Oh, okay,
It's a field trip, Kevin,
gotcha.
field trip.
Well, I wasn't sure if like, sometimes they do. if
Yeah, I think so.
Timber's getting old
Might
or whatever,
have-
just like it's actually healthier for a forest sometimes too.
Yeah.
So that's why I wasn't sure if that's what was going on.
Yep.
Yeah, this guy's doing the forest harvesting, over by Klaus Anderson, right?
Pretty open.
But,
Well,
Fred Jackson, right, he's doing the forest harvesting there, but he doesn't want us on that property, so he's gonna walk us through.
Right, unless
Right, right.
Conservation Commission has like a legit concern regarding the
Yeah.
Fred Jackson,
Yeah,
he doesn't want to.
I saw that, yeah.
Okay,
so
so,
December-
fine, set it up.
Quick question from the public.
Yes.
Do you guys does the commission get informed of any logging plan? Any logging project in town?
We're supposed to.
Okay. I learned of one recently, it's maybe it's just the same one you're talking about, it's kind of north of the Sofinowski property. Off of Lincoln Road, the access is through Lincoln Road behind the Gregoire's.
Yeah, I know where Lincoln Road is.
That's that piece of property that's like kind of within the Sofinowski property, right? Yeah, they have a forest cutting plan.
All right, one last thing before we go home, something came, so tonight at the select board meeting, one of the things that was on the agenda, just kind of take a long story, make it short. A couple weeks back, I got a call from a woman from the Trust for Public Lands. And she called me because the National Park Service is interested in buying some property in Southwick along the New England Scenic Trail, right? And it's a piece of property that goes from North Long Yard all the way up to the trail. It's 251 acres that they're looking to buy. They're not looking for money from the town. This is more of a, hey, we want to let you folks know what we're doing. We're looking to do this. They like to be good neighbors. They like the town to be happy about it. The reason that she came to me was she typically reaches out to conservation people first to get a feel for what the town's state of mind is when it comes to preserving land and open space. So I had a conversation with Selectman Perone. He got it put on the agenda tonight. She drove up from New Haven. We sat before the select board, talked about the project. So I'm gonna hand you folks the information that she is handing out about the project. But ultimately, it will be a private sale between the current landowner, her organization, and then once her organization takes possession of it, they would turn the title over to the National Park Service.
Wow.
All right. It would be the first piece of property along the New England Scenic Trail that has been purchased by the National Park Service. It would be kind of cool, I think, from the standpoint of our small little town to have, a piece of a national park area in our town. So their goal is they would like to close on the property by March. They're still working out some of the financials. An offer has been made. They know what the asking price is. There's a small gap in funding. they're doing another appraisal on the property and they'll kind of know from there what's going on, but this is more informational for us. Just wanted to let you guys know that this is happening in town as well. There may be a point in time where they're looking for some help up there. But it's an opportunity again for, you know, a couple hundred acres to be conserved in Southwick without us having to go through all the town politics of having to buy it ourselves and then actually manage it once it's bought, which I gotta tell you is kind of nice, you know? So,
See, this is a big trail that runs all the way north of Worcester down to the Haven.
yeah, it goes all the way to the
The
they're saying,
last page is a little circle on the top right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was looking
That
at.
New Haven to the Vermont border,
Okay,
what it shows.
does it continue?
goes to Monadnock.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
she said at 8 miles a day, it takes 25 days to hike it.
It's gonna go right by
Kind
the
of want to make this into a
agricultural.
mini AP,
Yes,
when this would be like one of the overnight stops along.
And it's that.
Looking to put a little platform shelter,
Right.
platforms, which would be kind of cool also.
agreed. So now you guys know,
This is it, right? This, whatever this is.
It is.
Hmm, okay.
Sabrina has a bigger map in the office
I have a bigger map.
of this, the trail on the wall.
Do you want me to get it?
No, if someone wants to see it, they can go in there and look at it. Don't bring it in.
Same map. though,
Yeah.
Right, this is it.
No, the one I have is something different.
Okay.
There's also the map of the.
Next
NET, I
meeting.
think in the accountant's office,
Maybe we
Oh,
can hang
cool.
it somewhere and we can.
or a poster about the NET, something like that.
So we'll keep you guys posted what happens,
All right.
you know, but just want to keep everybody informed.
Okay.
Unless anybody has anything else, I will
So
take
you're
them.
saying purchase when you quickly, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We're just trying to wrap it up. So they're not paying us anything. They're just buying it from the owners of the.
Yes, they're
Private
just buying it
landowners.
from the owners.
They're paying them.
Yeah.
They're turning it over to the, okay,
Yeah,
We would have
All right.
a little national park. And
Yeah,
we're-
right.
We're leveraging for hats, that we all get hats,
there you go.
right? Anyone in town that wants a hat, especially Dave.
I know who's
Dave
getting the
gets the
first
first
Are you
one.
gonna get a hat?
He's
Dave?
gonna get the
It's
number
gonna be
one.
the park
Big one.
ranger.
I'm in charge of picnic baskets.
All
That's
right.
my job.
Good deal.
Yes. All right, motion to close.
Don't move.
All in favor?
All right.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.